Complete Control Radio, yeah, right there, 57 seconds. Some of the best drumming in punk rock, in my opinion, right there. You got Lucky on drums. Circle Jerks, Greg Hetson hanging out here. We're talking about the early years of the Circle Jerks, the early years of punk rock.
The dangerous years.
Yeah, the dangerous years. There was a danger, though, then, right?
There was a total danger. You never knew what was going to happen.
A lot of the listeners of the show, and part of my job, I feel, is when I come in here, I mean, everyone that's our age that, loves the Circle Jerks or, X or Black Flag, all of these great bands, those songs they know. A lot of the kids listening to the shows, maybe they're turned on to some other stuff and they love hearing what the early years were like because nowadays, you go in to get your hair cleaned or, you go in to get your teeth cleaned or whatever, and the person doing it has a tattoo on the neck and it's crazy. Explain to these listeners that a pair of pegged Levi's and Vans and maybe a flannel with a buzz haircut, that was enough to get beat up.
It was enough to get beat up or being harassed by the police. I mean, there
was harassment by the police in those early years?
Yeah, well, especially down in Orange County, like in Huntington Beach, they would go around and take Polaroids of kids walking around and had a file, and there was an unofficial blacklist of bands that couldn't play in West Hollywood by the West Hollywood sheriffs. And
so there was almost like a gang division, but it was the punk
it was
rockers
they were really frightened, and you never knew if there was no like regular venues after the Whiskey and Starwood stopped playing punk rock shows, which were established clubs. They'd be hall gigs.
What were some of those bills though at the Starwood? Like, give me a lineup that that you would roll up on that was just common. Like, tonight we're gonna see and
whatever, X and DOA or
on the same bill.
Yeah, or Germs Middle Class and I don't know, The Crowd or something.
All on one show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
stuff
crazy.
like that.
And how much would a show like that cost?
I think you got a discount flyer is probably like. Sorry, did I just spit on you?
No,
I think about
okay.
$6.
$6.
Something like $4 or $6. Yeah.
How many people are showing up at these early shows?
They'd be packed. It would be like 6 or 7. I think it held about 600 or 700. And there'd be like 1,000 people out in the parking lot that couldn't get in.
Jeez.
So it was quite a scene. But even before that, there was like the Mask and Basie's Hall and other little hall shows that people would throw.
At what point you guys hook up with Frontier?
And that's usually when the Riot Squad came out.
The Riot Squad shows up.
Yeah,
with the
for
Polaroids.
reals. With the dogs and the billy clubs, and someone didn't have the correct permit, and they figured that would be a good idea to go in and use the Riot Squad and beat people up for.
So there was a real intimidation between the police and the punk rockers at that point.
Oh yeah, have you ever seen that? You've seen that Ed Culver picture of the Decline of Western Civilization premiere on Hollywood Boulevard
with all the cops out there.
All the cops up front, and that was, I wouldn't say it was a regular occurrence, but that's what the police want you to think, that if you're going to go, we might come. You don't know when we're going to show up, but we're coming to get you.
What do you think it was that scared, the police or the parents or just the city in general of punk rock?
Could have been a fear of the revolt of the American system, but we were so disorganized. It wasn't like the hippie movement. I don't know what they had to fear. Just a bunch of kids wanted to change music in the music industry. There was political undertones, but it wasn't like a political revolution. So I don't know. I think they feared what they saw with the hippies and riots and civil disobedience.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about you're in the Circle Jerks. You've mentioned before, and you've explained at a certain point the Circle Jerks started slowing down a little bit, and you hooked up with some other friends that were kind of a part-time band. Some of the guys were in school. You were friends with them. They asked you to play guitar. That band happened to be Bad Religion,
right? And
it went from being a part-time thing to a full-time thing. Can you kind of describe how that whole change happened from going from the Circle Jerks to Bad Religion?
Well, known the guys in Bad Religion for a long time. They gave me a demo tape one day when everybody used to hang out at Okie Dog, which was a hot dog stand that all the kids would go to before and after shows in Hollywood here. And I liked it, became friends with them, gave the demo to Rodney Bingenheimer, who was the only guy playing punk rock at the time. And just started doing some shows with them and became friends and somehow ended up in the band.
Yeah. Did it ever occur to you that the band, you'd be in the band for 24 years and that you'd be touring all around the world and putting out as many albums as Bad Religion has and doing this in your adult life?
No clue. It was like, we just making the next record was always just the next goal. Let's get to the next thing. Maybe we can make it to the next tour. Maybe Greg will give us 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks out of his going to school, so we can go on tour and make some music. And that's how it really went for years.
Yeah. Does it still have? Do you guys still have a little bit about that with Bad Religion? Because it seems like you're one of the bands that still put a record out almost every single year, do a world tour, take some time off, and do it all again. Is that energy still there? Is that what keeps Bad Religion going?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because for the rest
the fire
inside. No, but is there that passion still with all you guys when you get together and get out there on stage? Jay Bentley spoke about it a little bit. He said his quote was, and maybe you'll share in this. His quote was, I don't know what it is, but when we get into the practice studio, and it can be as big as this studio here or on stage, it's just when we get on stage, something happens and it all clicks between us, and we just bash out a song, and that's why we do it.
That's pretty much true. I mean, it's one big happy dysfunctional family, but when we get together with all our crazy neuroses outside, we get together and it somehow it all clicks. I don't know how or why, but it does, and it's like magic, to be corny, but it is. It's just natural.
It almost seems like any great band, though, whether it was the Clash, whether it's the Ramones, you got to have almost that chaos on the outside, and it almost brings in the order when you're on stage, which is sometimes also another form of chaos.
Yeah, you got to have that conflict, which keeps you going.
Yeah.
You got to have that agitation. I think the music's gonna come out weak.
So, did you ever think at 17, through your whole life growing up, and when you picked up that SG, was that the first guitar you ever had?
The first real guitar was a Gibson S1.
The guitar, though, that you used on the Circle Jerks record?
That was the SG,
So,
yes.
And you still have that SG?
No, I do not.
You do not?
It broke.
It broke?
Yes,
Tell me, though, that you have that somewhere.
I do not.
Oh, you can't tell me that.
I do not have it.
Oh, my gosh. I've witnessed you play the guitar so many times.
I've had the same one since '83, but the original SG that I had, I broke the neck. I think it was at the Vex in East LA. And I took it to a repair guy, and he goes, I can glue it, but I'm not going to guarantee it. So I just sold it to him for like a couple $100 and bought a new one.
That's punk rock.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
The question I got to ask you, though, did you ever imagine that the ride would be this long from Red Cross out there in Lawndale to everywhere you've been in the world? And you've been everywhere.
It was Hawthorne. Home of the Beach Boys, dude.
Yeah?
Hawthorne.
Did you ever imagine that long of a ride?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We weren't thinking about it. I mean, the thought of people starting a band today, a punk band, and you could actually think, there's a slight chance that we might be successful and make a living at it. There was no way in hell anybody thought that would ever happen. We just did it because we were bored teenagers and want something fun to do. And
do you ever wake up and go, man, I might have to get a real job someday?
Almost every day.
Hetson, I appreciate you being on the show so much.
To be here again.
All right, my good friend Greg Hetson. We are on Complete Control Radio. We're going to drop into Back Against the Wall, Circle Jerks, Complete Control Radio.